Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the parables that Jesus taught. I'm so glad that you've been following us on this series here at Abundant Life Church. And today we got another one, probably one of my favorite parables to talk about. And we're going to go ahead and jump right in. This is going to be from Luke chapter 6, verses 43 through 45. And we are talking about the fruit that the tree bears. And so I'm going to be reading from the ESV version if you want to follow along. Starting on verse 43, for no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit, for figs are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are grapes picked from a bramble bush. The good person of the good treasure of his heart produces good, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaks. And so this is actually a quite simple parable, but for the reason it is one of my favorite ones is we live in a society now where everybody has a podcast or a blog, or everybody can be a minister on social media. And there is a lot of information out there. There is a lot of preaching, a lot of teaching, and not all of it's biblical. And some of it can be hard to discern. And so one of the tests for any time you are listening to teaching or preaching, or someone is giving you a word into your life or trying to speak into your life, is to see what type of fruit they bear. It's very easy to claim to be a Christian. It's very easy to claim to the correct truth or to doctrine or the correct theology, but the fruit that a person bears will always tell the truth of what kind of person they really are. The point that Jesus is making here with the fruit is that the fruit from a tree identifies the type of tree. Somebody can tell you all day long that that is an apple tree, but if it grows oranges, it's an orange tree. So from a spiritual context, it is the same way. I can claim to believe one thing. I can even claim and teach and preach a certain way, but the way that I actually live my life every day is going to speak volumes to what kind of person I really am. So there's also the phrase that you may have heard called test the spirits. And so I believe that that is what we should do, is that anytime we are listening to somebody or we are taking advice from somebody, especially in a spiritual context, we must first examine the fruit that that person is producing. Does the fruit that they produce in their life, does it line up with that of Christian values? Is it biblical based? Is it based in scripture? Are their doctrine or their theology or their teachings, are they rooted in truth, and can they be backed up by scripture? Because like the last two verses said, is that what is in your heart will eventually come to the surface. A good person, a truly good person, is going to be noticed as a good person. You're going to see that in the way they live their life. You're going to see that in the things that they produce. And so it is very, very important. Likewise, it says, and the evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil, for out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. It doesn't matter what you claim to believe, or it doesn't matter even what you claim to be as a person or as a Christian. How you live your life is what really matters. Are you living your life in a spiritual sense? Are you lining up with scripture? Are you bearing good fruit? Can people tell that there is something different about you, or that there is something good about you, just by the way that you conduct your life on a daily basis? And so again, I know this sounds so simple, but this is something that we must do, and we must be diligent about, that as Christians, as students of the word, as followers of Christ, we must not only bear good fruit or bear evidence of that in our own life, but we almost always should examine that in others. We should examine that in sermons that we listen to. We should examine that in teachers that we listen to. We should even examine that in mentors that we receive advice from. I don't want to receive financial advice from somebody that is not financially stable. I don't want to see I don't want to receive marriage advice from somebody that has been divorced 4 or 5 times. I want to take advice from people that are bearing good fruit. I want to take advice and I want to take spiritual guidance from people that are actually living it out. So that's what I will leave you here today is we must bear good fruit.